Hey, Will King here. Today on the Build Show, we're going to talk about hot and cold water spigots and how you as a builder can incorporate them into your build. Let's take a look at them. So a couple years ago, we decided to start adding hot and cold water spigots to our houses. Now our clients have loved it because they love to be able to wash their kids, their dogs, or even their cars off in the fall and winter months, or even in early spring when it's still too cold outside just to use regular water from your spigot. So we've tried different ones and had some successes and fails along the way, but the one that we've settled on is the Woodford V22. Now, the V is vertical. Now, I just like the way the vertical one looks personally. They do make a horizontal one, so depending on where you're putting it, you may have to pick either one. Now, they come in different lengths. As you can tell, I'm holding another model here in my hand. But one cool thing is that they also come with expansion PEX ready connections. So that's really nice because like I'm a big Uponor fan of my houses just for better flow, and I love the expansion fittings to make sure we don't have any forgotten rings throughout the plumbing process. So they do come in expansion PEX, 1/2 inch or 3/4. There might even be a 1-inch model out there too, but I typically stick with 3/4 on my hose bibs. Obviously they're not the most attractive hose bib that I've ever seen, but they are very functional and they seem to hold up really well to use. So I try to place them in spots that aren't just out in front center of the house. So you don't want to put them on the front porch probably, or even on the front of the house. Now this one's actually on the basement garage. So right outside the basement garage door, we have one tucked over to the side. It's a good location for it because when they're washing their car out here in the colder months, they're going to have that hot water, and also pressure washing their driveway. They'll have hot water access to hook up right here. And of course, now that we're all using tankless water heaters for the most part, you have an endless supply of hot water, so you're not worried about draining the tank when you're pressure washing your driveway. So you can see here, this is mounted in our stone exterior. Now, you probably know mounting anything to stone can be tricky just because it's so rough and not have a good flat surface. Now, these mounting blocks that you're looking at here actually came from the manufacturer, so that made it a little bit easier for us. But if you don't have that luxury, you can make your own just by drilling your own holes based off that template. But once it's on the mounting block, there's 2 screw holes here that you can see, and that'll be what actually fastens it to the wall so you don't have any play in it when you're actually using the hydrant. The valve is actually back inside this copper pipe, so you don't have to worry about it freezing in the wintertime. So it's quite the upgrade from having to go buy the little foam covers in the winter to cover your cheap hose bibs on your house. So it's definitely an upgrade when you're talking about hose bibs and frost proof on your home. And again, so when you're planning your house, you need to look at what size exterior walls you're going to use. So this particular wall that we're on is actually part of the basement foundation. So this is the daylight side, but it's concrete up about 2 feet and then it's stick frame. So what I'm going to show you behind the wall, we actually have a double framed wall. So we have plenty of depth to get it in there. But that's just important. You want to maximize the length of your hose bib to just try to prevent it from ever having a freeze problem in the event of a really, really cold environment. All right, so now we're inside the garage and I'm going to show you the access panel that we installed here behind this hydrant. Now, the reason I like access panels for hydrants is because at some point in the future, they're going to have to be serviced, replaced, or somebody's going to have to work on them. So I try to place them in areas where an access panel is not an eyesore. So you can tell here in this garage, an access panel is not that big of a deal. Now, somewhere else in this house, we have a hose bib on a balcony that's actually inside of a bedroom, and that access panel is actually a mud-in access panel that we'll show you later. So you got to think about where you're putting any hose bib, not just the hot and cold ones, in your project so you can make it look the best you can for your customer. So I'm going to pop this open and show you what it looks like behind here. You pop these open, and so you can tell here we have great access to this hose bib. Now, again, I told you earlier that I use 3/4 inch water lines going to my hose bibs, and I do that just so I can get better flow. I feel like in years past when I ran 1/2 inch water lines, especially when I was not using Uponor or expansion fittings, I felt like the flow just wasn't there to fill up a swimming pool or wash a car when you wanted higher volume. So we do use 3/4 inch water lines, but you can see once that hose bib slides in, these fittings are just right here inside the wall. Now we're using a 10-inch model on this project. Now I will tell you for this video, this is actually a 1/2 inch connection that we had laying around, but we are installing an actual 3/4 expansion ready fitting hose bib. So we talk about air sealing hose bibs. That's always a question that I get asked and something that we always have to consider. Now, one thing is I do like to place hose bibs in areas that may not have to be as air sealed, like a garage, for example, which is where we are today. But along with air sealing is also water tightness. So one thing that I'm going to do on this hose bib install is, so from the back side, we're actually going to shoot liquid flash around it, around the hole from the back, and then we'll just put more can foam on the back side. Now there's other ways you can do it. There's other gaskets that you could put on, especially if it's just a single hose bib and not a double like this one, where you can slide it in and out of the wall, that we can show you a video of later. But again, this is in a garage. It is a conditioned garage, by the way, so I don't have to worry about it freezing as much. It is going to be heated down here, but it has its own mini split system running it. So guys, one more thing about access panels in your hose bibs. One thing to consider is you can always put it behind a cabinet or behind an appliance, for example, if it works out with your floor plan. So in this house, we actually have a hose bib on the back porch, but I'm putting an access panel behind the dishwasher. So that way, in the future, if somebody ever has to service that hose bib, they can slide that dishwasher out, open up the access panel, and they have instant access. All right, guys, so one last thing about these hose bibs to close it up. Now, this is a Woodford 22 model hose bib. Now, I like the vertical version, which is the V22 model. Now, we've been getting these on Supply House. They're going to cost you somewhere in the $100 to $130 range off Supply House to get them shipped to your door. Your local supply house may could also supply these. That's just something you'll have to ask your vendor that you get your plumbing supplies from. I just like going online where I can see all the different models when I'm planning out my house to figure out which one I needed to fit my needs for that particular project. But again, this is a low cost, high impact item. You guys hear me talk about that a lot in my videos. But you know, for 100, 150 bucks, you can add this to your house. And it's a big difference when you talk about the value you're giving your client and their comfort inside their home. And it's always something that they can show off to their friends and brag about. Anyway, I hope you got a little bit out of this video and how you can incorporate this into your build. But guys, just remember, keep grinding, keep watching these videos, and we'll see you right here on The Build Show.